between misty mountains, there stood a small Buddhist monastery. The monastery was home to a wise old monk named Master Liang, known far and wide for his serenity and profound wisdom. His presence was like the calm surface of a still lake, undisturbed by the ripples of life's troubles. One morning, as Master Liang meditated under the ancient Bodhi tree, his young novice, Xiao, came running to him, breathless and distressed. "Master!" Xiao exclaimed, his voice trembling. "The villagers are in chaos. A band of thieves has stolen their horses. Even your beloved white stallion is gone. How can you sit here so calmly? This is a terrible misfortune." Master Liang opened his eyes slowly, his gaze gentle and unwavering. He smiled at Xiao and said, "Is it a misfortune, or is it a blessing? Time will reveal the truth." Xiao frowned, confused by his master's words. He bowed respectfully and left, still troubled. Meanwhile, the villagers gathered in the square, their faces etched with despair. Without their horses, they could not plow their fields or transport their goods. The village elder, a man of weathered hands and a weary heart, approached Master Liang. "Master," the elder said, his voice heavy with worry, "our livelihoods depend on those horses. Without them, we are lost. How can this not be a misfortune?" Master Liang placed a reassuring hand on the elder's shoulder. "What seems like a loss today may bring gain tomorrow," he said softly. "Trust in the flow of life." The villagers exchanged doubtful glances, but nodded reluctantly. They returned to their homes, their hearts heavy with uncertainty. Happened. The stolen horses returned, galloping into the village with a herd of wild horses trailing behind them. The villagers erupted in joy, their despair replaced by jubilation. They now had twice as many horses as before. The village elder rushed to Master Liang, his face beaming with gratitude. "Master, you were right," the elder exclaimed. "The thieves' actions brought us more horses. This is indeed a blessing." Master Liang nodded gently, his expression as calm as ever. "Is it a blessing, or is it a misfortune?" he said. "Time will reveal the truth." The villagers were puzzled but too overjoyed to question his words. They celebrated late into the night, their laughter echoing through the mountains. Children played among the new horses, and the fields were plowed with renewed vigor. But life, as Master Liang often said, is a river, always flowing, always changing. One day, as Xiao tried to tame one of the wild horses, the animal reared up in fear, throwing the young novice to the ground. Xiao cried out in pain as his leg snapped under the weight of the fall. The villagers carried him back to the monastery, their faces filled with worry. The village elder approached Master Liang once more, his voice heavy with concern. "Master, this is a terrible misfortune. Xiao is injured, and the wild horses are too dangerous. Perhaps the horses were not a blessing after all." Master Liang's expression remained serene. "Is it a misfortune or is it a blessing?" he said. "Time will reveal the truth." The villagers shook their heads, unable to comprehend his words. Xiao lay in bed, his leg bandaged, his face pale with pain. The once celebrated horses now seemed like a curse. A week later, news arrived that would change everything. A royal envoy rode into the village, bearing a decree from the emperor. War had been declared, and all able-bodied men were to be conscripted into the army. The villagers were terrified, knowing that many would never return. But Xiao, with his broken leg, was spared. The villagers gathered around Master Liang, their faces a mix of relief and awe. "Master," the village elder said, his voice trembling with emotion, "Xiao's injuries saved him from the war. What we thought was a misfortune turned out to be a blessing. How did you know?" Master Liang smiled, his eyes reflecting the wisdom of countless years. "Life is like a river," he said. "What seems like a loss may bring gain, and what seems like a gain may bring loss. Do not cling to judgments. Embrace the uncertainty, for it is the way of the universe." The villagers bowed deeply, their hearts filled with newfound understanding. They returned to their homes, their spirits lighter, their minds open to the mysteries of life. As the days passed, life in the village returned to its peaceful rhythm. The children played, the farmers worked, and Master Liang continued to meditate under the Bodhi tree. Xiao, though still recovering, found solace in his master's teachings. One evening, as the sun dipped below the mountains, Xiao sat beside Master Liang. "Master," he said, "I think I understand now. Life is not about good or bad fortune. It's about how we respond to it." Master Liang nodded, his smile gentle. "Indeed, Xiao, Yes, joy and sorrow are two sides of the same coin. What seems like a misfortune may be a blessing in disguise. Trust in the flow of life, for the universe has its own way of balancing the scales. The two sat in silence, the sound of the wind rustling through the leaves. And in that moment, Xiao felt a profound peace, as if the river of life had carried him to a place of understanding. The story of Master Liang and the lost horse spread far and wide, becoming a timeless lesson for all who heard it. It reminded people that life's twists and turns are not to be judged too quickly, for what seems like a loss may one day reveal itself as a gift. And so in the quiet village nestled between the mountains, the wisdom of the old monk lived on, a beacon of light in an ever-changing world.